Good afternoon, dear friends. I am Dr. Dhananjay Prabhakar Devlalkar, an Associate Professor, Department of English, Government Vidarbha Institute of Science and Humanities, Amravati. It's a pleasure to be a part of Epitome Lecture Series. A friend of mine, Dr. Pramod Ambadas Rao Pawar, has started an e-platform for the dissemination of the knowledge, and I thank him for inviting me to deliver a talk on the topic of ecocriticism. So, in this 1 hour talk, I will try to explain the term ecocriticism and the novels, fiction as well as non-fiction, that deal with these issues. We have seen that in last almost 1 year, we have been through COVID pandemic, and most of the part of the world has been under the lockdown, and we see the changes in nature. Even the pollution has reduced. The birds and the wild animals wander freely. But it's just 1 year's phenomena. We humans have polluted the earth unto that extent that the survival of other beings and even the survival of the human beings is at stake. Now, ecoliterature is interdisciplinary branch of study. It has a long literary tradition. In ancient writing also, we find that writers are concerning about the nature. We are very close to the nature. In last 200 years, we have drastically deserted the nature and created the jungles of the cement, the four-way lanes and whatnot. At the beginning of 18th century, 19th century, we have industrial revolution, and that changed the scenario. And in 20th century, in 21st century, the science and technology have created wonders in human life. There is no other word. All the innovations in last 300 years are mesmerizing. The invention of electricity and the internet, computers, satellites, medicines, vaccines, and so on. In all branches of knowledge, humans have surpassed the limits. But at the same time, in the journey of progress, we have forgotten to take care of our Mother Earth where we live. Ecocriticism concerned about these things. We have seen that ecocriticism is a word that has been derived from two terms, eco and criticism. Eco stands for nature, and criticism is analysis, discussion, evaluation, finding out merits and demerits. Criticism has long history in literature. We have Plato's Poetics, Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, Longinus' Theory of Sublime, and so on. In Sanskrit poetics, we have various types of school, Rasa school, Dhwani school. In 1962, Rachel Carson has published a book called The Silent Spring. This book is seminal and important in the sense that the argument in that book is the massive use of pesticides in agriculture has contaminated the food grains, and that affect the health of the women, that affect their pregnancy and so on and so forth. So pesticides and its overuse in America and its consequences has been pointed out in that book, The Silent Spring. Later on, Many activists, environmentalists, scientists are continuously talking about the climate change, air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, and so on. But we humans are so engrossed in the very idea of progress, quote unquote, whose progress, for what purpose, and so on. And we are unable to look at other factors of human life. Unfortunately, humans think that they are the only species on planet Earth. That is not the thing. We are one of the part of the chains of being, from stone to the God, if God is abstract and the stone is solid. We are somewhere in between. As far the various species on the planet Earth is concerned, flora and fauna, many species are on the verge of extinction. Many species are endangered. The same is happening towards language too, but that's other factor. We are talking about nature. So ecocriticism is an analysis of discussion of nature, not only about its beauty or loss, but concern about it, so that the humans will be little bit wise enough while dealing with these things. That means number of times governments says something, bans something, but it is not banned. A year and a half ago, the government of Maharashtra has declared no to plastic. No plastic bags are allowed. Not in shops, not in a grocery shop, nowhere. But what happens later on, we do know. Now plastics have been used by the people, it has been thrown somewhere, and it creates many problems. The heavy rains of Mumbai that causes many deaths in 2005 is the cause of the encroachment on that Miti river, and various other issues are there. The climate has changed drastically. We are not aware about it. We are so ignorant to look at it. The floods, untimely rains, famine, all these are the consequences of a massive climate change that occurs because of carbon footprints. Many industries, the coals have been used to generate the power in projects where the electricity is produced. Thermal power stations, what we call, at Chandrapur, at Parli Vaijnath, at Koradi. Now what happens to the ash? What happens to the smoke? Many vehicles are there on the roads. They use fossil fuels like petrol and diesel. In Delhi, before the lockdown, it was the situation that because of pollution, schools had to be kept closed. The children could not come to the schools. That much pollution was there in Delhi city. It's most polluted. Even the government tried to have odd even system to bring the vehicles on the road. That is the situation of most of the cities. The Kolkata is going through the same phase. Chennai is like that. Mumbai is like that, and so on. And other cities of other part of the world is also the thing. We haven't kept any seashore clean. Much more garbage is there. So, ecocriticism is a term that deals with literature which has concern about the nature, which has an underlying message that each and every reader of that text, individual, be sensitive enough while leading the own life. The policymakers, the government officials, the environmentalists, experts, and the people in general should come together to protect the nature. We have very much strong and bombastic announcement of the plantation of the trees and doing so and so, so and so. But it's only for the photographs and to publish the news in the newspapers on the front page. In actual reality, does it happen in that way? The roads have been developed, Samruddhi Mahamarg, four-way lane, and so on. While in the construction of the roads, nowadays cement is used. We don't know anything technically about what type of roads are good, what will be the average life of those roads. That's a debatable issue. But the cement roads are everywhere, all over the India. The government is investing crores of rupees in the construction of cement roads. Not only the construction of cement roads, but while enlarging the path, widening that particular road, the trees have been cut down. Who is going to plant the tree? Tree is not a one-day phenomenon. That means you sow it and another day it becomes a big banyan tree, big people tree. No, it never happens. It requires 10, 20, 25, 30, 40 years to be a tree. In other countries, it has been said that the trees are not going to be cut down, they have been replanted somewhere. But we do not use such type of technology to replant the biggest trees at some other position. That ecosystem get spoiled. A tree is not a tree, it's a shelter for birds. It gives shade to the person who is on the way. And many things are there related to trees. But we never bother about it. There are various types of terms used for ecocriticism as green culture, ecosystem and ecology. As I have already said that this ecocriticism is interdisciplinary. It includes ecology, it includes sociology, it includes politics, it includes nature, N capital, all parts of nature. This is a little bit background about the term called ecocriticism. You might have come across the term called ecofeminism. That is one of the offshoots of feminism. Ecofeminism, ecocriticism are a little bit closer. But in ecofeminism, the center of attention is that the woman is compared with Mother Earth. Woman gives birth, she has been considered as creative, she is Shakti. Mother Earth is like that. We get all food produce through Earth. So Earth is called as a Mother Earth, not Father Earth. And the pangs of Mother Earth is best understood by woman only. That is the argument of ecofeminists. And up to some extent it's true. Because the very idea of capitalistic society, capitalistic economy is based on the notion of profit. So all multinational companies are selling their products considering profit in the mind. It is to be sold. So you see the advertisement and banners and billboards, and all multinational companies are bombarding at all the times, 24 hours on all the platforms, on Facebook, on Gmail account, everywhere you come across the advertisement. Where their fundamental is that sell the product at any cost. What will happen to the society? What will happen to the tribal people? What will happen to the people who stay at the seashore, who were the fishermen from ancient unto now? No one bothers about it, because money is considered as success, and that has been filtered onto the downstrata of the society. So each and every individual nowadays is after money. Money, money, money. Profit, profit, profit. At the cost of what? At the cost of humanity? At the cost of the lives of the birds? At the cost of the lives of the wild animals? Lakhs of hectares of jungles cut down, burned, dropped down under the fire, wildfire, Amazon jungles destroyed, lakhs of acres of trees in the fire, and no one bothers it. Mining is going on everywhere, and that mining is for some type of metal or some type of coal, and it creates disturbances in the lives of the normal people. There are some books which are related to this idea of ecocriticism. Just it's a sample what we say. It's a very serious issue. Amitav Ghosh is little bit skeptic, saying that ecocriticism is not anywhere on the agenda of the intellectuals. The way the nature is pursued by the West people and East people is different. But by and large, a few environmentalists, few scientists are much more concerned about the climate change. The rest of the people, 99% of the people, are leading and living the life as if everything is good. But that's not the case. The situation has drastically changed. Greta Thunberg started her mission to fight against the carbon emission in all these countries. A girl of 18, 19 years old is struggling to awake the politicians and policymakers to reduce carbon emission. At the conclusion of this lecture, I will talk about her concern. The books which I have taken to discuss with you are, one of them is Animals People by Indra Sinha. It's a fiction, it's a novel. The title of the novel is Animals People. And there is a tagline on the cover page of this book, and it reads like this: I used to be human once. So once upon a time we were humans. We have been called as Homo sapiens. There is a famous book by Haruki Murakami called Sapiens. Homo, human. Sapiens, wise. But are we really wise in the term? We are wise in reference to other species, no doubt. In the course of evolution, our brain was so good enough to produce the language, to communicate, to invent the things, and so on and so forth. A list is unending. In this sense, we are much more wise. We are wise as compared to the elephants. We are wise as compared to the tigers and scorpions and snakes and gorillas and dogs and horses and deers. But are we wise enough to survive for a longer time? That's the question. So ecocritics and literature related to these concerns of the nature is putting this question indirectly or directly to make the people aware. It has been considered that literature is a vehicle to carry the message. Literature influences human mind. That's why Plato denies the entry of poets in his ideal kingdom. It affects, it influences, it changes the course of life if you read it seriously. So it is expected by the writers who concerns about the nature that their writing, their novels will bring little bit change, at least in the behavior of the readers. Indra Sinha's novel Animals People is a story related to Bhopal gas tragedy. It is considered as one of the most horrific environmental disaster of the 20th century. A poisonous gas leak from a US-owned pesticide plant killed several thousand people and injured more than 500,000. This incident took place in 1984. Now, in this novel, The Animals People, the main character is, in the novel,
whose name is Animal. He is a 19-year-old orphan boy who survives the explosion with a deformed body. What are the consequences of this gas tragedy? That means many pregnant women gave birth to deformed babies, handicapped babies. And the central character in this novel is deformed. This means he must crawl like a dog on all fours. His name is Animal, but he hasn't developed in a normal way. His legs are not in a strong position to hold his body erect, so he has to crawl on all fours. So two hands becomes two legs are already there, so he is walking on four legs. So tagline on the cover page can be understood now. I used to be human once, but these people have converted me into the animal. Now he is crawling physically. He could not walk in a proper manner because of his deformed body. Animal does not hate his body. Animal accepts animal, the character I am talking about, but embraces his animalistic identity, offering an unconventional, non-human perspective. Now, we people call ourselves as a human being, but we are highly non-human. We do not have any concern about anything at all, not about nature, not about neighbors. We have been carried by the emotions most of the times. The rationality itself has been becoming more and more rare. With his wounded human animal figure, Sinha puts forward his critique of India's post-colonial conditions and demonstrate how Western capitalistic domination continues to damage people and the environment in contemporary society. Western capitalistic domination. Most of the multinational companies are from the West. All these companies are on the basic ideas of capitalism, give the quality, give the product, manufacture it at a massive level, reduce the production cost, reduce the cost of the commodity and sell it into the market. And India is the marketplace. China's economy growth is because of the selling all over the world. Even the Americas economy is strong because of the sales. They sell war weapons too. They expect to have the wars so that their weapons will be sold and the America will be rich. Most of the developed countries are using these tactics, and countries like India, which are as economy is considered as developing economy, minus this pandemic period, but we are on the verge of growth slowly. What happens as per the policies of the new government, that is the topic of economics and the experts to talk. Being a student of literature, I do not have any authority to comment or to criticize any of the policies made by the present government. But being a wise, you can understand the difference where we are going to. The second novel, which is under the discussion, is My Year of Myths by Ruth Ozeki. Just I have taken 5-6 novels to talk about the concept of ecocriticism. So in Animals People, Indra Sinha tries to show us the consequences of gas tragedy and its influence on the common people's life. The deformed body, the perception of that particular character animal of the world, and how people look at animal of the novel. What happens then? We become callous, insensitive, without any sensibilities to feel any loss. I think more and as we develop more and more, we become more and more insensible. We become more and more callous we become more and more aloof. What's happening to the world? It's happening to the world, not me. But injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice in reference to the trees, plants, seas, poor people, mad people, patients, downtrodden. Anywhere there is injustice, it is the greatest threat to justice everywhere. So we have to be very much careful. The second novel which we are talking about in reference to ecocriticism is by Ruth Ozeki, My Year of Myths. Ruth Ozeki's novel intermingles themes such as motherhood, environmental justice, and ecological practice to explore the appalling use of growth hormones in the US meat industry from a feminist eco-critical perspective. Now, I don't know whether you have come across or not. There are various types of artificial ways to ripen the fruit, to make the hens and the birds fat. So, this novel speaks about artificial ways followed by meat industry people in America to increase the weight of the animals so that they will get more profit. But these growth hormones are highly harmful to the humans. No one bothers. Profit, capitalism, what happens to the society? That society will take care. But the companies must sell their products in the market. They must grow. They have to become more and more rich. To become rich is the fundamental of all the people all over the world. Everyone wants to become rich. At the cost of what? Who cares? Then we have to pay the price of this callousness. COVID-19 is a trailer. It's bad, no doubt. Many lives have gone. Many people suffered. Many businesses and enterprises had been closed. And too many problems are there all over the world. It's not only in India. But it's just the beginning. Anything may happen at any time. As it has been narrated in the novel called Blindness, where all the people becomes blind by strange virus. It is reality. Anything can happen. So we are not sure about our survival. The next moment, some another virus, even the corona metamorphosizes itself and comes into the new format. Who knows in the near future what type of viruses are going to take birth and create threat to the survival of the humans. But we as humans, if we call ourselves as a Homo sapiens, wise men, then we have to use our wisdom to protect the nature. That is the message of most of the novels. So the second novel, My Years of Myths, speaks about the ill effects of growth hormones used by American companies, meat industry companies, where that hormones are used to increase the weight of the body of that particular animal, which is slaughtered, cut into the pieces and sold into the market with more profit. The novel employs a documentary narrative and begins with a TV show related to cooking, which is sponsored by meat company. While filming the show, Jane Takagi Little, the director of the documentary, encounters a vegetarian lesbian couple who reveal the ugly truth about the use of growth hormones within the livestock industry. The encounter motivates Jane to undertake a documentary project to uncover how growth hormones poison women's bodies. It affects their pregnancy, it affects their lifestyle, and so on. Even it has been said that many times in India also, in order to ripen the bananas, some chemicals are used. To ripen the mangoes, raw mangoes, some chemicals are used. So, on the surface level, it looks very nice, it looks very attractive, but within it is spoiled. It might be harmful. So the green revolution that what we had in 70s, the use of hybrid and pesticides and the chemicals and sufla and vigula fertilizers, we do not know the consequences. In order to increase the yield, we spoil the land. And now many people are migrating from their land in search of food, in search of job, in search of better livelihood. The migration will be the greatest problem and greatest threat in next decade. Thousands of people are leaving their country, leaving their land and moving towards some fertile land, some jobs, some cities and so on. And it becomes the biggest issue, biggest crisis all over the world. Crisis beyond the capacity to handle. Through a deliberate choice to make all her main characters female, Ojeki draws her readers' attention to non-conforming or typical female figures who rebel against social or cultural norms inherent in patriarchal capitalist society. The capitalistic society itself is patriarchal. Patriarchal, where the man considers that he is the only deciding person. He has everything in his control. He decides and others have to follow. That is the main argument of feminism. That means the whole concept, notion of world is man-centric. Feminism says that I am also with you. You are not the only. I am equally important. That's why we have the issues like gender equality and fetus detection is considered as an offense legally. When the doctors and the people involved in the detection of a fetus gender are punished by the court of law. That's a different issue, but it's very serious. Even the patriarchal mindset of the people is not going to change. Even the sun is considered as Vamshacha Diva. What light he is going to light, that's a different question. But still people are wanting the male hire to continue the lineage of the family, and women have been marginalized, not considered in the policy decision. Anyway, whether it's a religious book, whether it's a political statement, whether it's a fiction, whether it's a novel, whether it's a poetry, woman is marginalized everywhere. Her voice has not been heard at all. So one of the feminist critics says that in too many countries, too many women speak the language of silence. Even the nature speaks, but who has time to listen to nature? Everyone is busy in listening to themselves, in banging their own drums, shouting at the top of the voice about the progress, about the development, whose progress, at the cost of the life of earth. If earth doesn't survive, how the humanity will survive? So this is the second novel that we have had for the discussion in reference to the term called ecocriticism. My Year of Myths with Ruth Ozeki, a feminist writer, ecofeminist critic. Then the another novel which I have chosen to talk with you is The Over Story. The Over Story is a novel by Richard Powers, and it is praised by critics for its ambition to bring awareness to the life of trees and its advocacy. Powers' novel, Power is the name of the writer. Powers' novel sets out with 9 distinctive characters which represent the roots of trees Gradually, their stories and lives intervene to form the trunk, the crown, and the seeds. One of the characters, Dr. Patricia Westerford, publishes a paper showing trees are social beings because they can communicate and warn each other when a foreign intrusion occurs. And it's also scientifically proved fact. Trees do communicate. Whether we understand their language or not, that's the question. But trees have the feeling. Even Jagdish Chandra Bose, as an Indian botanist, has for the first time researched on the fact that the trees response to the feelings of the people. Trees give some signals that we must decode them. This novel deals with the trees as a social beings, as we are a social beings. We communicate, we express our sorrow, we express our happiness, we express our concern. In the same way, trees do the same things. That is the subject matter of this novel. The idea, though presented as controversial in the novel, is actually well supported by today's scientific studies. I have come across news somewhere where it has been said that at the time of plantation, just watering a plant, if you have positive thoughts, if you expect that the tree has to grow, that plant has to grow in a quite good manner, and if such type of feelings are with you while watering, that plant grows in a quite good way. If you are full of hatred, jealousy, anger, and with all those emotions, if you water a plant, that water will not sufficient enough for the growth of the plant. It affects the growth of the plant. Actually, it has to be scientifically proved. We are not the experts in the botany or the way it has been watered, but it's true. That means if you come across a good people, you feel good. If you come across a person who is much more negative, your energy is dampened. You become slow. You become a little bit lethargic. You have pains. It happens. You might have experienced, but I do experienced it. If I am in a company of the people with full of energy, positive, having positive ideas, thinking good about the world, though there are plenty of weaknesses and lacunas are there, but at least they expect that there should be some change. As good as possible, I can do whatever in my capacity. I can't change the world entirely, having the wand in my hand. That's my limitation. But at least as far as me is concerned, in my capacity, what I can do, I will do. And in that, I will get the pleasure. If such type of people are around you, you feel energetic. You feel little bit healthy, full of power. At the same time, if you are in a company of people who go on complaining about all the things that nature is gone, not good, politicians are not good, roads are not good, life is not good, and yet they are living, then you dampen your energy. You go in weakness. You retreat back. One of the characters, Dr. Patricia Westerford, publishes a paper showing trees are social beings in the novel. They can communicate as we communicate and warn each other when a foreign intrusion occurs. And the trees warn. But unfortunately, trees do not have legs to run away. In case of animals, if they find danger, the animal can run and try to save the life. Trees are deep rooted. They can't move from the place. Though they feel a lot of fear, they want to survive. Each and every being on this planet Earth has the equal right to survive. As Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak has said, freedom, Swarajya, is my birthright. So each and every species at the time of birth itself says that to survive is my birthright. I have taken birth and it's my birthright to survive. All the insects, butterflies, sparrows, birds, crows, snakes, wild animals, everyone has equal right to survive as humans have. We must respect the dignity of each and every species equally. If I respect human beings, if I respect my colleagues, if I respect my family members, I have to respect. Why if? I must respect. Being a sensible human being, being a human being, one has to be sensible. And if you are a human being, you have to show the signs that you are yet human. Not once upon a time we were human. Today also we are human. But our behavior is very inhuman in reference to the nature. That is the concern of ecocriticism. Despite her groundbreaking work, Dr. Westerford ends up taking her own life by drinking poisonous tree extracts at a conference. To make it clear, humans can only save trees and the planet by ceasing to exist. How the planet is going to be saved? How the trees are going to be saved? What is the way out? We have to plant more trees. We have to take care of the trees. We should stop unsustainable development. If development is there, it is to be sustainable. Everything has to be considered. But the people deliberately become ignorant. They know the consequences of what they are doing, but they have become blind, deliberately blind, in the name of progress. They ignore the damage they cause, damage we cause. I'm not blaming anybody else. See, throughout my lecture, I'm not pointing that you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong. I'm saying that we are wrong. I'm also part of it. That means someone is in the confession box and being a lawyer or barrister of law, I'm saying that you did it. No. Greta Thunberg has right to say so. She is a schoolgirl and she is asking a question to all the fathers that what are you doing to give me in the future? What type of future you have planned for me? I'm asking you a question. Now at the age of 50, with all this, we have already done much more havoc to the nature. Only save trees the planet by ceasing. We have to move towards a greener future. The greener future is possible then and then only when we all people all over the world come together very seriously and sincerely and think about such type of progress that harms the nature. So we will change our way. We will change our lifestyle and we will have the greener future. Even in Indian writing in English, we have Rabindranath Tagore, who is concerned about the nature in his writings. Even he has started his school in the woods, Shanti Niketan, where there is peace. Niketan, house, Shanti, peace of mind, sereneness. Anta Desai's Fire on the Mountain speaks about exploitation of nature and debasement of man. As man has moved away from the nature, man has become inhuman. It's true. Go closer to the nature and the humanity will come back to you. Go away from the nature and you become much more inhuman. You become much more callous. You become much more pseudo-human. Arundhati Roy, the god of small things, also speaks about this. In the god of small things, she has depicted exploitation of nature for the sake of progress. Once again, that progress. Vikas. Whose progress? For what purpose? No one bothers about it. And ecocritics, the writers dealing with these, are talking about all these issues, that the progress must be considering all the people together. That means if you are going to have the mines, if you are going to have big dams, what will happen to the people who come under that catchment area? From 1980s, 90s, Medha Patkar was fighting Narmada Bachao Andolan, was the movement, that Sardar Dam, which was built on river Narmada, causes many people to displace, Vistapit. Sorry. What will happen to their lives? How they will be planted somewhere? Their fertile land has come under the catchment area of the dam. So they have to be moved away. Then they have to go to the government to get the compensation. And being a government, it's very lengthy. The height of the dam is increased, the catchment area also increases, and for the sake of the people of the industry, so that they will get the water, they will get the drinking water, these people have forcefully had to be transferred somewhere, some another place. What will happen to their lives? In Marathi, there is a novel called Zhada Zhadti by Vishwas Patil, in which he has pointed out the consequences of the construction of a big dam and its influence on the lives of the people who suffer that migration, deliberate migration, forceful migration, where they have lived, where their ancestors lived. They have been asked, with the help of police, with the help of military, to bundle their luggages and move away and go somewhere. Ruskin wants No Room for a Leopard is also a book that shows a pitiable state of the creature after deforestation. This deforestation is a very serious issue. You see that most of the times the wild animals come in society of the people, humans, and we have the news of killing of a girl or a boy or a person by the wild cat. And these things have increased nowadays because we have encroached the land, we have encroached, we have spoiled their adhivas, we have spoiled their habitat. What can they do? They won't move anywhere. Nature is nature. It replies back in a very serious manner. Kiran Desai's Halla Bolo in the Gava orchard. The hero, having disappointed of life of a town, takes shelter in the Gava orchard and live over there. Amita Ghosh is a very strong name in Indian writing in English. The Hungry Tide. This novel has an eco-critical message in it. The delta of Sundarbans, that is the location where most of the action of the novel takes place, has been displayed as the destroyer and the preserver. The nature is destroyed as well as preserver. Eco-critics in India, the famous name is Vandana Shiva, and her book Stolen Harvest speaks about the attempt of rich people, multinational companies, to take lands from the poor people with mere amount of money. She criticizes the biotheft, the word biotheft, of the West for the sake of licenses from the poor nations. She shows that colonization doesn't involve the past, it is still alive in present through multinational companies. Now, we have been in the bad phase of colonization. More than 150 years, Britishers ruled India, and still they are ruling. Still, some other people are ruling in other way, but the ruling is going on. We are slaves. Once upon a time, we were the slaves of the Britishers. Now, we are the slaves of Apple, Samsung, Nokia, Coca-Cola, Thumbs Up. But we are slaves, no doubt. There is no question. Multinational companies are that good enough that they will never allow you to think that you are slaves. You think that you are a master. All the multinational banks give you the credit card. Go purchase, give money afterwards. But if you do not have money in your pocket, why there is need to purchase anything? All luxury items have been made compulsory. They have been made essential. Even you can get a mobile handset on loan. Many things are there. Ecocritics, Vandana Shiva speaks about it. So colonialism, that means we got the freedom in 1947. It's a political freedom from the British rule only. But the mind has already been colonized. How we will decolonize our mind? That's the biggest issue in literature too. The multinational companies are now colonizing us. We have already been colonized, and we are part and parcel of that ideology, that we can't see that ideology. because we are within the ideology. In order to see something, you have to be away from it, no? As we in geography, in physics, we do not understand the circling of the earth, movement of the earth, because we are moving, no? In order to see the movement of the earth, you have to be away from the earth somewhere, and you have to unlook. Yes, it's moving. When you are part of the movement, how can you understand the movement? The same happens with the ideologies of these multinational companies. Tomorrow's biodiversity, soil not oil, staying alive, ecofeminism, violence of the green revolution, water wars. The next war will be about water. It has been warned. We have two world wars earlier. And the third world war, if it happened to be, it will be about water. Biopiracy is there, making peace with the earth. These are some of the articles and books written by Vandana Shiva. Now, what are the concerns of ecocriticism or ecocritics? Nature is the concern. Nature is not only the plants and trees, entire physical surviving, including the living and non-living. When we talk about the plants and the trees and the seas and the floral life, I am talking about the mines, I am talking about the stones, I am talking about the hills and the mountains too. It includes. If it has been seen in Mumbai, many hilly area has been occupied by the people. They settled over there. They have their own huts. A builder comes, remove the huts, construct the huge tower with the background of nature and sells for the crores of rupees. A flat in Mumbai, at Thane, at Bhandup, at Dadar, cost more than 2 crores. 2 crores a single flat, and people take it. That's a requirement for them. They have that much money, they can manage, and they can have. The builder builds biggest towers. There is an excess of builders and the politicians. So, for the first time on the hilly area, the trees are cut down. The people who migrated from the cities in search of job, in search of livelihood, they settled over there unethically, illegally. They stay there for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Later on, some builder comes, gives some compensation. They go, they settle somewhere else, and a huge tower is built over there. That is the situation of Mumbai. I am not saying by my own fictional way, but it's the fact. Even you can find it out. All construction in Mumbai is not like that, but most of the constructions in Mumbai are like this. Anthropocene versus biosense. Human instinct is basically human-centric. Human instinct, human-centric. We are at the center, no? Man is at the center. Later on, other things are there, but we have to consider nature at the center. We are at the periphery. We are dependent on the nature. Nature is not dependent on us. Nature has been born before the human beings have taken place on this earth. So they have to be primary. They have to be at the center. We are secondary. We are substitute. We are dependent on it. Nature is not dependent on us. So if we are dependent on nature, it is our moral responsibility that we take the care of nature. Very simple. As Earth's artistic being, man views himself as better than other from lives on planet Earth. Man thinks that he is better. No doubt he is better as far as brain is concerned. But even once again we have to put the question mark that animals are more trustworthy than the humans. Nature versus culture. As it has been said that God has created countries, man has created cities. Sustainable development, environmental justice. These are some of the issues that come under the purview of ecocriticism and ecocritics. The climate crisis is a very serious issue. Portraying this climate crisis in the fiction and commentary on it is called as ecocriticism. From last 55 minutes, I am trying to explain you the term ecocriticism and its concern in literary work of art and what that literature means for all the human beings, those who read and those who do not read. Those who do not read, They are very happy that they don't understand anything. But it is the responsibility of those who read, who can read, they must read and make people aware, make aware themselves, so that we will take care of the nature. To conclude, I will take the help of Greta Thunberg and her speech, which she has given in Assembly on 23rd September 2019, United Nations Climate Action Summit, accusing world leaders of stealing her dreams and her childhood by their inaction on climate change. She opened her speech to the General Assembly with an impassioned introduction, which was, these are the words of Greta Thunberg. I quote, "This is all wrong. I should be up there. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystem are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction. And all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? You are failing us." And so on. In 4 minutes speech, she has expressed her anger, anguish, and helplessness, so that the people will listen, so that the policymakers will listen, so that the presidents and the vice presidents and prime ministers will listen and do some changes in their policies related to the construction of the factories and the development and whatnot. All these issues are there. I thank Dr. Pramod Pawar. He is my Guru Bandhu also. We did PhD under the guidance of Dr. Mabel Fernandez from Aurangabad University. He has started a very nice program through this lecture series on e-platform, Epitome lecture series. And I thank him. I thank all the listeners for giving your patience to listen me. Thank you very much. Hope that not only eco-criticism, but we as humans will become good readers, and not only the good readers, good human beings. And as far as possible at our level, we will try to make people aware about the losses, about the exploitation that what we do of nature, so that we can protect the nature, so that our future generation, our children, our grandchildren will not blame us. Unless it's true, if we do not take care of water, if we do not take care of earth, if we do not take care of fertile land, our future generation will not forgive us. So it is very essential for each and every individual that we have to be very much more concerned about it. Amitabh Ghosh, in one of the interviews which has been given to the newspaper, he says that no one is bothering about it. That's a serious issue. Very few people, 5% people are aware about these problems. Even if an article comes in the newspaper, a friend of mine from Latur, Atul Deval Gaokar, an environmentalist and a critic and a freelance journalist, writes an article in Lok Satta once a week, once a month. And when I asked my students, have you read that article? They said, no, we do not read newspapers. They do not read Lok Satta. They do not read Maharashtra Times. No question of reading Hindu and the Times of India. So if you are teachers, if you are students, if you are any sensible person, it's time that we have to read, we have to be wise, and our wisdom must save the country, must save the nature. If nature is saved, then and then only our survival chances will be more. Unless it's true that in next 500 years the human species will be on the verge of extinction, that COVID-19 is just a trial. See, within 8 months how many people died by just a virus. All the scientists all over the world trying to find out the vaccine. Now we have got it after 1 year's battle. But if you search the vaccine, the corona will change its form. Another virus will be there, and this continuous struggle will go on. So we have to be very wise. We have to keep cool. Our development should be sustainable development. We must be careful about the nature. We must be careful about the surrounding, about the beings and non-beings. Thank you for giving me the chance. I thank you all. Thank you.